Trump, the US president-elect, has set a historic yet infamous record by becoming the first former president convicted of felony. On Friday, Trump was sentenced to an unconditional discharge for concealing hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels, a case that has captivated public attention and deepened political divisions. Despite his legal woes, Trump has avoided prison time or punitive sanctions, sparking debate over the unprecedented nature of the case. The charges stem from Trump's May 2024 conviction on 34 felony counts of falsifying business record. Prosecutors reveal that Trump disguised the reimbursements to his former attorney, Michael Cohen, who had paid $130,000 to Daniels to silence allegations during Trump's 2016 presidential campaign.
President Trump's personal attorney has acknowledged paying an adult film actress tens of thousands of dollars in the final days of the 2016 presidential campaign.
You have to ask Michael. Michael's my attorney, and you'll have to ask Michael.
You signed and released a statement that said, "I'm not denying this affair because I was paid in hush money." Was it hush money to stay silent?
Yes.
This is about the cover-up. It is thuggish behavior from people in power.
For the first time in our country's history, a former United States president is facing criminal charges.
A New York judge sentenced Alan Weisselberg to 5 months behind bars for perjury.
Lying under oath in the former president's civil fraud trial.
The entire country waiting for word from the jury in the Trump election interference hush money criminal trial. We've got a verdict. Ari Melber.
We are looking at count 1, guilty. Count 2, guilty.
13, 14, guilty.
Count 20, guilty.
Count 27, guilty.
Listen, it's a unanimous jury verdict, unanimous.
Presiding over the case, New York Judge Johan McCann delivered the mildest penalty possible under the law, sparing Trump any direct punishment. McCann explained that an unconditional discharge was the only lawful option that allowed for a formal conviction without interfering with Trump's presidency.
Never before has this court been presented with such a unique and remarkable set of circumstances. To be clear, the protections afforded the office of the president are not a mitigating factor. They do not reduce the seriousness of the crime or justify its commission in any way. One power they do not provide is the power to erase a jury verdict. It is clear from legal precedent, which until July 1st was scarce, that Donald Trump, the ordinary citizen, Donald Trump, the criminal defendant, would not be entitled to such considerable protections. After careful analysis, in obedience to governing mandates, and pursuant to the rule of law, this court has determined that the only lawful sentence that permits entry of a judgment of conviction without encroaching upon the highest office in the land is an unconditional discharge. I impose that sentence to cover all 34 counts. Sir, I wish you Godspeed as you assume your second term in office.
Godspeed to Donald Trump as he assumes office for a second term, a phrase never spoken under such extraordinary circumstances in American history. Legal experts have called the unconditional discharge highly unusual, arguing it highlights Trump's ability to navigate legal boundaries without consequences. Prosecutors also stressed the gravity of his action, describing him as a premeditated and continuous deception, despite repeated attempts to delay sentencing, including appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. The proceeding moved forward. Prosecutor noted that Trump had gone too far as to personally attack the judge's family, underscoring the continuous nature of the case.
Far from expressing any kind of remorse for his criminal conduct, the defendant has purposefully bred disdain for our judicial institutions and the rule of law. He has been unrelenting in his unsubstantiated attacks upon this court and its family, individual prosecutors and their families, the witnesses, the grand jury, the trial jury, and the justice system as a whole. As this court has noted, the defendant's conduct, quote, constitutes a direct attack on the rule of law itself. Put simply, this defendant has caused enduring damage to public perception of the criminal justice system and has placed officers of the court in harm's way.
Appearing virtually for the sentencing, Trump dismissed the trial as a political witch hunt and a disgrace to the system, asserting it was a deliberate effort to tarnish his reputation. His attorney described the day as a sad moment for Trump, his family, and his supporters.
It's a very sad day. It's a sad day for President Trump and his family and friends, but it's also, in counsel's view, a sad day for this country. We very much intend on pursuing an appeal of this verdict.
It's been a political witch hunt. It was done to damage my reputation so that I'd lose the election, and obviously that didn't work. And the people of our country got to see this firsthand. I'm totally innocent. I did nothing wrong. They talk about business records, and the business records were extremely accurately counted. I had nothing to do with them. That was done by an accountant or bookkeeper who I think gave very credible testimony and was corroborated by everybody that was asked. I got indicted over calling a legal expense a legal expense. It was called a legal expense. I won the election in a massive landslide, and the people of this country understand what's gone on. This has been a weaponization of government. They call it lawfare. Never happened to any extent like this, but never happened in our country before. And I'd just like to explain that I was treated very, very unfairly.
This landmark case has solidified Trump's place in the history as the first U.S. president-elect to take office with a felony conviction. The absence of sanctions, however, ensured that Trump will assume the presidency despite the controversy and polarized public opinion surrounding him. On the other hand, the latest social media drama involving Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and the former Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, that started as a tweet, has ignited serious discussion about sovereignty, international relations, and the role of social media in modern politics. In a tweet that's making wave online, Elon Musk fired a sarcastic shot at Justin Trudeau, saying, "Girl, you are not the governor of Canada anymore." The comment came after Trudeau flatly rejected Donald Trump's controversial proposal to make Canada the 51st state of the United States. But while Musk tweets out a touch of online rhetoric, the underlying issue is anything but light-hearted. Former President Donald Trump has repeatedly voiced expansionist ambition, suggesting that merging Canada with the U.S. could address economic and defense concerns. Trump claimed the U.S. subsidized Canada to the tune of $200 to $250 billion annually, and point to Canada's below NATO contributions and limited military presence as evidence of over-reliance on American defense. Trump even went as far as to refer to Trudeau as the governor of the great state of Canada, a remark that has sparked both outrage and ridicule.
I didn't think he was going to quit. He probably saw the numbers. Look, I called him Governor Trudeau because they should be the 51st state, really. It would make a great state. And the people of Canada like it. They'd pay lower taxes. They have virtually no military. They have a very small military. They pay less than 1%. They're about the lowest payer in NATO. They're supposed to pay much more. They haven't been paying. They have a lot of problems. And I was with Wayne Gretzky. I said, "Wayne, would you like to be the governor of Canada?" I can't imagine anybody doing any better than Wayne. Wayne was not too interested, but I think he probably would have liked statehood. He's a friend of mine. He's a great guy. He's the great one. We call him the great one, right? He's a great hockey player. But I will say this. I think that there's, it was stated pretty strongly a couple of weeks ago about Canada, and people laughed. And now they're all saying, well, it's very interesting. And I say from the standpoint of the United States, we're subsidizing Canada $200 and $250 billion a year. We have massive deficits. They've taken about 20% of our car business. I'd rather do it here. We could put tariffs on. We don't have tariffs on them yet, but that will happen. But they've taken about 20% of our car business. I'd rather have it done in Detroit or have it done in South Carolina or any other state that does cars, and we have a lot of them. We don't need Canada for that. We don't need Canada for lumber because we have big forests that we have, not utilized. In some cases, they're protected, which I can take that protection off. And you take down a tree and you grow a better tree. That's, pretty common. But we don't need anything. We don't need their fuel. We don't need their energy. We don't need their oil and gas. We don't need anything that they have. And I said to Trudeau, I said, why are we subsidizing you $200 and $250 billion a year? He said, I really don't know. And I said, well, I don't know either. I said, what would happen to Canada if we didn't? He said, Canada would be obliterated if that happened. I said, then Canada should be a 51st state. And that's where we are now.
Prime Minister Trudeau responded swiftly and firmly, rejecting the idea outright. He emphasized Canada's sovereignty and warned of countermeasures if economic pressures such as tariffs were used to strong-arm the nation.
Not today, but that's not going to happen. Canadians are incredibly proud of being Canadian. President Trump, who's a very skillful negotiator, is getting people to be somewhat distracted by that conversation, to take away from the conversation around 25% tariff.
While many view Trump's proposal as a far-fetched, some experts argue it isn't entirely outside the realm of possibility. The U.S. Constitution provides a framework for acquiring new territories through treaties or other means. But such a move would require a two-thirds majority in the Senate, a highly unlikely scenario in the current political climate. Meanwhile, Musk's provocative comments reflect a broader trend, the use of social media by influential figures and leaders to address complex political issues in a casual, often divisive manner. It raises an important question: are platforms like Twitter becoming the new battleground for global diplomacy? Thank you. So what do you think? Is it just another case of Elon being Elon? Or are we witnessing a shift in global politics are conducted? Share your thoughts on our social media channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to get alerted when we drop a new video. Thank you for joining us. I am Ibrahim Umaruwase on Diaspora Digital Media. See you next time.